Welcome to the Bleav Podcast Network, SoCal Sweat. My name is Anne McDaniels, a former NFL cheerleader and product manager turned actress and model who dreams of being a UFC fighter. Meow. Learning strategies to help motivate others leads me to bring you interviews each week from a range of athletes, experts in fitness and nutrition, and so much more. Thanks for listening to Bleav, the #1 podcast for working professionals, and let's push our endorphins to higher performance through SoCal Sweat. This is your host, Anne McDaniels, and thanks for listening to the 3rd episode of SoCal Sweat. Sports, dance, and all activities should be open to everyone to enjoy and participate, no matter what the circumstance or situation. This emphatically includes people that have disabilities, whether it be physical, mental, or anything else that limits a person's movements, senses, or activities. The late genius Stephen Hawking said, "Disability need not be an obstacle to success." Someone who only grooms talent to success and sees no disabilities is Robin Olive, professional dancer and owner of Straight Up Abilities. Robin is a professionally trained dancer for 40 years in ballet, tap, jazz, hip-hop, breakdancing, and martial arts. She has been featured in movies such as Adam Sandler's I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, was a stunt actress on The Young and the Restless, and choreographed and performed for Bret Michaels and Limp Bizkit. She currently is a choreographer and performer manager for Insomniac Events, artistic director for the historic theater The Mayan in downtown Los Angeles, and is a director of the nonprofit called Straight Up Abilities that teaches dance and fitness to students of all abilities. Robin's company prides itself on offering full inclusion in all the classes. Some of her students may have physical or intellectual disabilities, but that does not mean that they are undeserving of a life where they can also live out their passions and dreams. Some of the students are student teachers or have a professional entertainment career of their own. In fact, you can find a few of her students heavily featured on the A&E Network's show, Born This Way. There truly are no limits. Let's welcome Robin Olive of Straight Up Abilities to the show. Welcome to the show, Robin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. That was a great introduction.
Good. I'm so glad I could go on and on about your abilities. And I met you. We had a shoot, and you were the choreographer and director, and you were so organized, which already shows who you are, what you do, and your talents just speak for themselves. So, could you please give us a little bit of background, especially on your professional dance career?
I started dancing when I was about 3 years old. I've always had a passion for dance. My parents said I just came out dancing. And I just had a young student ask me the other day, like, why I dance. And I said, it's all I've ever wanted to do. I love to dance. I love movement. So that's why later in my life, I incorporated martial arts and other types of movement. And then Straight Up Abilities came into my life, which was a whole nother aspect of movement and also psychology. And I just like all things dance.
All things dance, and you certainly lend that well to the dance community and anyone with disabilities. So you took over the company of Straight Up Abilities, correct?
Yes, this company, there was a company started by a woman named Zena Bethune. She is an older Hollywood actress and who also had some orthopedic issues from dancing ballet her whole life. And so then she founded a company called Bethune Theater Dance, and where she was the first participatory program for people with disabilities in a professional dance company. And I believe it was 2006 or 2007 that I came across an ad in the Backstage West looking for dance teachers to teach people with different abilities. And I thought, that's something I'd like to do. Just thinking it was something I would do in my spare time as some goodwill. And I really just fell in love and found a passion for it. And it opened up another world that I never knew existed. And I think a lot of people don't really know exists, because sometimes we just push people with intellectual disabilities or physical disabilities off to the side. And a lot of people are not experiencing those types of people in their regular life. And that's one thing that I'd like to change, because they're angels and they're inspirational. They're inspirational to me. They're inspirational to our entire community. Everybody can learn so much from them, and they deserve to be heard and seen.
They're
So,
absolute angels, and you give back so much. And just an example, I mean, I do a lot of charity work, but every year I love doing the Easter Seals 5K and
yeah.
10K in Long Beach, and I get to do the giving away of the medals at the end, and it is just there. You cannot be in a bad mood. I mean, the kids and
I
the
just love
families
them.
and the adults and the caretakers. I always make sure to give a medal, especially to the caretakers. That would be, someone like you who teaches and mentors and things like that. Now, it would have been easier for you because your mentor passed away, correct? The actress who gave you the company, and you could have quit. This is hard. It's a nonprofit. This is
Yeah.
difficult, but you did
Yeah.
not throw in the towel. You saw that wonderful opportunity. She believed in you and you transcended it. That cannot be easy with a nonprofit. What are some of the struggles that you've had to face with that?
Well, it was very difficult. When she passed away, it was very unexpectedly. It was from a car accident. And so her board had a hard time keeping it together, but we kept it together for 2 years. I was the main teacher. And so I was teaching all of the students myself without her being there. And I just felt like her board maybe didn't have the same, passion. We lost our leader, but they gracefully offered me the company, and they still are present in my life and it's very supportive. So in 2016, I decided to change the name so it would be like more my company, give it a little bit more hip hop edge. It was a ballet based company before, and we decided to call it Straight Up Abilities. It has been super interesting, but I love every minute of it. Every single day of my life, I'm surrounded by angels, and I'm so grateful. So, I mean, the tough parts are not so tough when you can balance it with all the angelic, positive parts.
I believe that difficult but very rewarding.
Yes.
Now, looking at your website, I was so inspired by just one of the rap videos one of your students did, and you guys were all behind him as hip hop dancers, and it was just, I mean, he was elated. How much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's John Tucker from the hit TV show Born This Way.
Amazing.
And he's an amazing rapper. My friend DJ Him works with him in the studio. They created that track together in 1 hour, I think. It was like really, and we're trying to create more music for him, and people need to hear him. He's very talented.
What a talent. And you also have other people from that show Born This Way and actual entertainment performers that may have a disability and go to your class to seek out second resources for more dance purposes.
Yeah, I have what I call my all-star group. And we before COVID, we would meet every Monday at Millennium Dance Complex, the number one dance studio in the world. And what a treat. We would switch studios. At one time we switched studios with Backstreet Boys, and they were so nice to my students. But
Oh, that
this
makes me
group,
happy.
yeah, the all-star group, they that's their dream. They want to perform on stage. We've auditioned a couple of years in a row for America's Got Talent, and they did really, really well. And I am making it my mission to try to help them like perform more. We do travel and we do school assemblies, and I know you're probably going to ask me this in the future, but because of COVID, I've decided to start them doing their own Zoom classes and maybe teaching their own classes and helping them maybe have their own, little career in teaching. You know, there's
Amazing.
there's a lot that they can do.
You're teaching them how to fish, not just fishing, but teaching them how to fish and get their own, which empowers them business wise, confidence wise. Now, back
Yeah.
to just Millennium Dance Center. You and I are both professional dancers.
Yes.
Millennium, Broadway Dance Center, New York City. I mean, we've all been to those editions. Dance specifically discriminates from everybody. I mean, we are able bodied. And I just remember, Broadway Dance Center. getting clawed, getting blood drawn, and then clawing my way to the front and then clawing more to the center because it's so competitive. So not only is dance and dance teams and just being on pro teams, the weigh-ins, you're never pretty enough. You're never, thin enough. There's a lot of discrimination and a lot of stress on that. Then you add a disability. How hard is it to see, even on a pro level, people getting turned away? And then despite a disability, how do you, and it seems like in your classes, you kind of, as you talk about inclusion, do you ever sit down and kind of like meditate together or talk about problems, or is it just very much straight up fitness and dance? Do you not focus on any emotional issues?
It is very social also. So I can see the power in that too, that they come together. These are their friends and they come together. So we do outings, and sometimes we sit down and we have discussions. And sometimes we, say my class, my all-star group is about 12 to 15 students in that group. And, we've been working together about 10 years. So with some new students coming in, but sometimes there's some emotional things that happen in class, and we have to sit down and talk, just like, it's the same as any other
sports team. Sure.
Yeah, we have little issues, and I have to tell them they need to work together as a team. But what you were saying about it being tough world in the dance community, of course, I've always felt that, but I've seen a change, and I'd like to think that my little group going to Millennium each week and all these professional dancers, seeing them come in
and Backstreet Boys supporting them.
Oh man, that was amazing. I'll tell you that story. It's a really good story. So one day I come in and the door to our studio is glass. So I look and I see somebody's in there, and we're patient, and my students are all lined up. They're ready to just bolt in there. And I kind of peek in and I'm like, oh, these are important people in there, So I go back to the front desk and I'm like, oh, somebody's in our room. Do you need us to go to another room? And they're like, oh no, they got to get out of there. And I'm like, wow, you're going to
kick out those Backstreet Boys.
Wow, that's so special.
Love it.
And, so they opened the door and they're like, oh my gosh, we got to get all our stuff. And they were so nice. And that happened every week for a couple of months, because they were getting ready for their show in Vegas, and they would take pictures, and my students were over the top every time, and how nice they were. Every single week they'd be like, oh, hi guys, and let's get out of here, let's move to the small room so you guys can have the big room.
What a class act. That makes me really happy to hear. And besides Backstreet Boys, which is great, the Royal Ballet Academy, didn't you perform with them as well?
Wow, yes, what a treat. I think I had Zena, I think she must have been working upstairs for us on that one, because that was so amazing. The Music Center in downtown LA, who we do a very special arts festival with every year in the fall. The Royal Ballet was coming in town. They hadn't been in town for a while, and they were like, look, we'd like to do some outreach while we're here. And, we work with all abilities, and the Music Center said, we know the people to call, and they set it up. I'm getting chill bumps talking about it, because it's still so amazing. That whole week they set up a camp just for my all-star students. And every day, Monday through Friday, we went to a 5-hour camp with the Royal Ballet. And at the end of the week, they put on the most beautiful performance. And if anybody hasn't seen it, go to our YouTube channel. It's on our YouTube channel. It is amazing. And at the end of it, we've become really good friends with the Royal Ballet. They've invited us to come and maybe participate with them over in Europe. So
sounds like your mentor is with you quite a bit, surrounding you and giving you gifts. It's
she's an angel.
Wonderful opportunities. So I'm looking at your website and I see all these wonderful classes that you've been teaching at Millennium and in schools and things like that. Now with COVID, obviously, you have the Zoom classes. Are we able to, let's just say that someone's in, I don't know, rural Nebraska and has a disability. Could they do your Zoom class?
Yeah, that's you always have to see the positive in everything. So before, I was doing classes all over Los Angeles weekly. I was driving from Pasadena to Anaheim to Long Beach
Yeah,
to
you covered a
Studio
huge
City.
area.
If you're familiar with LA, that is all over. I was just driving from one place to the next. And as soon as this came about, I got on Zoom and discovered this platform. And I was, I know my students maybe not, they don't understand why they can't leave, why they can't go see their friends, why they can't do the things that they're used to. So right away, I started a free daily Zoom class. It's Monday through Saturdays right now, and we do it every day at noon. And the positive side of this is I've been able to bring in people. We have students coming in from Kansas, Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina. And so we've been able to open it up so it's a lot bigger than our usual classes. And yeah, on Fridays we have classes. We have students coming in from Guatemala and soon maybe Honduras, because they're all on lockdown too. And so they need some extra curricular activities as
Which
well.
brings even more opportunities for you, not only on the straight up ability side, but also on the Insomniac events side, because Robin actually is the choreographer, director, and performer for huge festival events for EDM music. And I've also performed at EDM with Van Buren and Deadmau5, and it's the most exhilarating thing. But look at what we've lost that way, but you've gained a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a monstrosity of unemployment for those dancers and DJs as well.
Oh yeah, I work for, I work for the Mayan Theater in downtown LA. And when this first came up in January, the owner had mentioned it and was like, this is gonna ruin business. And I was like, what? And who would have thought where we would be a month later? I mean, it's pretty bad, but we always have to look at the positive side of things. And EDC is doing their virtual rave-a-thon this weekend, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do it in October, or it'll be postponed. So
Absolutely, but with these kids from Guatemala and Mexico, just kids from all over the world that could be taking your classes now. And I'm so glad that this opens up to not just kids in Los Angeles, but everywhere. Because I'm originally from Wisconsin, and that would be so far away. And I grew up in a very rural area. So it would be a 2-hour drive to Minneapolis, Minnesota to have her take a dance class. I mean, there were little, dance things there, but not to that level of what you would teach. So I think it's wonderful that you took the positive out of COVID. And one more thing with that, I'm sure as a teacher, you like to touch your students as like, great job, a pat on the back, but sometimes with disabilities, as you know, you can't touch them. Or I wonder about wearing a mask, because even that, a lot of the kids don't like that on their face. I mean, even, I don't like to wearing it on my face, but that's got to be a little bit tactile that you're missing from the Zoom. Do you ever feel that?
Well, yes, I am a hugger. I think you know that about me. I love to hug people. I'm from the South. We give really strong, big hugs. And when I do go to an elementary school that I think of, where I teach at 2 different elementary schools in Anaheim, California, and I have over 100 students of all abilities. And it's very physical, and a lot of the students want to come and hug me, and I love giving hugs to my students. And it's always a thing when it's like flu season. Now I'm thinking, with this, it would be so hard, and it would be so hard to tell them that we can't do that.
Right.
I'd rather not be in that situation, rather just see them this way, because I don't think that they will fully understand why I couldn't hug them or shake hands with them or give them a dap or whatever it is,
Sure, but your eyes and face are so endearing when you're teaching, and you can always give that virtual hug and they can feel it.
Oh yeah, like I'm working on the Zoom. I bought some lights, and I call it my TV show. So we make it very fun.
Very fun.
With games, and I think kids in this day and time are very electronical.
Sure.
So it's a good way to engage with them.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So for the future, people can log on your website, and I'll put that all below, and they can log onto the classes. Where do they get the free everyday class? Is that right on there as well?
Yes, if you go to my website at www.straightupabilities.com/classes, you can click on the link for the daily Zoom noon class, and it should take you right into the class.
Perfect. That's wonderful. And then what are your future goals for the company? What would you love to see?
Oh, wow. So I'm really excited to expand and give these platforms for my students to be able to teach their own classes.
I love that.
This summer, we're actually going to offer more classes through Zoom. We're going to be doing some acting, cooking, healthy eating classes. I started a workout class that I've been doing every day. So that's a whole nother thing, but you can go to my website and find out more information about. And we're working on a cartoon with my mascot named Ruby, so we can teach more about inclusion and,
Amazing.
I have so many ideas.
Good for you. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. And one last question, what's your favorite cheat food during quarantine?
Oh, girl, I love chips.
Yes, it's the salt.
I am a chip addict. I wish I didn't like them so much, but I like chips and salsa. I like salt and vinegar chips.
All of it. And I got groceries delivered the other day, and by accident, I got someone had ordered 4 bags of Lay's of all different flavors, and I'm looking in the bag. I'm like, I know that's not mine, but I would really like it to be. So I called the guy. I'm like, I think I got someone else's groceries, but I'm like, I wanted those as my own. I could have polished off 4 in one sitting, but it's like, if it's in the house, you're going to inhale it. So.
Oh yeah, I usually eat those like right away, and then I don't have them for a couple of weeks, and then they come back. And
Yep, for sure. It has been such a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to support you in the future. And also, if anybody were to want to donate to the program financially, they can do that on your website. It's all the links are right there as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, keep killing it. I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see more success from you.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to talk to you and to see you.
And that was Robin Olive of Straight Up Abilities, who not only teaches fitness and dance, but pushes her students to become teachers and entrepreneurs for their own furthered success. You can check out her website at straightupabilities.com for the links and the classes and all information. I'll also include everything in the links for the show below. Thank you again, and please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. You can also listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Luminary, Tuned In, or at Bleav.com. Please reach out to me for any questions or topics you'd like covered on the show. I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Anne McDaniels, and on Instagram at Anne McDaniels Actress. Please stay tuned in next week to learn more about the Cuerpazo workout, which means hot body in Spanish. It was also voted the #1 best butt workout in LA, according to LA Weekly. I'll see you next time, and thanks for listening to SoCal Sweat.